Hey folks, this is Matt aka Slash, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. I present to you Desert Sphere Mark 1. This is going to be my first attempt to get to Duna, which is the Mars analog of the Kerbal Space Program universe. I'm using the Minmus launcher booster setup down here that we had used previously, and on top I have added a probe. Let's get in here and take a closer look. I've added a probe. This is the Probodyne command pod, I think, or the Stay Putnik Mark 1. This is an unmanned command pod, so I'm not sending any Kerbals up with it. I've got solar panels plastered all around it to make sure that we keep this battery that I have here charged. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to change. I need to take that off temporarily, and I want to put some RCS on here, because this seems like... I guess that's the only one I got. Oh, that should be fine. Go like that. Go like this, and we'll throw some RCS thrusters on here. That's probably overkill. Let's try 4 there, and then down here. And actually, if I'm gonna do it through the gap here like this, I'm thinking, oh, that says 6 again. 4. Go like that. I should probably bring these around here like so to make sure that that works. Just to assist with turning this ship, I did some test flights in a different save of this design, and I can get pretty far with this center column of rockets. So I want to make sure that I can turn it without too much difficulty. I have attached to it 6 of these mystery goo pods. I also added a Science Junior with a couple of thermometers on there, all in attempts to get as much science as we can out of this mission without actually putting any Kerbals in possible harm's way. So we'll see how productive this mission actually is. These experiments, as they are, do not... oh, mobile processing lab. This might actually be worth putting on here. Because like I said, I've got... Oh, that's huge, though. Nope, we're not going to do that this time. I think what that does is that you can process these remotely, and when you transmit your data, you actually get a larger percentage of the science than you would otherwise. But unfortunately, with the mystery goo and all this stuff, it's not really worth a whole lot unless... I mean, it's not worth maximum value unless you recover the vessel. And I don't anticipate making a two-way trip with this. I anticipate it being a one-way trip. Although, we may attempt to get it back to Kerbin, although I don't have parachutes, so we probably won't. And I'm not going to put parachutes on it, because I don't see that that's a likely need. So let's just make sure that that's not clipping with the ground before we launch. And I put some lights on it as well so that we can hopefully see it a little bit better on camera as necessary. But I think this is gonna do it for the design phase of the mission. Let's see how well it performs from the launch pad. Now, since it is our goal to get to Duna, we actually need to worry about the alignment of the planets. So I'm going to come out here to map view and zoom way out and take a look at how the planets are aligned. I used a website that is like the Interplanetary calculator or something along those lines that calculated out some of these variables for me. So we're going to take a look and see how well that does. In my test flights, it did pretty well at figuring out the optimum time to launch. So we're going to time warp until the angle between Duna and Kerbal is about 45 degrees. Meaning drawing a line from here to here to here is a 45-degree angle. Right now it's maybe 70-ish. And shrinking because we are in a closer orbit to Kerbal, the sun. So that looks like maybe that's about it right there. So this would be the 90. That looks like about halfway in between. So we're going to try our launch here. But since we are on the inside track, so to speak, we orbited faster, so we caught up to Duna. See, our Kerbal's velocity around the sun here is 9,200 meters per second, and Duna's is only 7,500 meters per second. All right, zoom right back up to the launch pad. And here we go, launching the Desert Sphere 1 Duna probe. One-way mission in 3, 2, 1, liftoff! Look at her go! This is an extremely slow craft. Now, I deliberately have not put any boosters on it because with the asparagus staging in my test flights before I made these modifications, it actually worked out pretty well. But we will see how well this goes in practical use here in career mode. I will bring you back in if anything interesting happens. Otherwise, I will probably see you once we're in orbit and planning our Duna maneuver. Alright everybody, Desert Sphere 1 has achieved a 104 by 98 kilometer orbit around the equator of Kerbal. So the next step for this craft, and I've got this entire, well, most, maybe half, I guess, of this bottom stage. Let's see, all of that and a quarter of that, so about 5/8 of that bottom stage, and all of this stage, and all of this fuel, which is not a whole lot that's up here, but that will come in handy for sure. Our next phase of this whole thing is to figure out when in our orbit to begin our burn for Duna. So let's go ahead and set Duna as our target. And now we'll zoom in here. And let's do an encounter pretty close to our periapsis here. And see what we get. Just gonna accelerate out till we have Kerbal escape. And we actually we're gonna run into Minmus with that one. Let's, actually, can we get a gravity assist from Minmus? Let's see here. If I pull back on this a little bit. So that's that. Puts Kerbal escape there. No, not really. Minmus is pretty darn small. I'm not surprised that there's not really a gravity assist from there, but actually we went out too far anyway. Let's bring this in. And how far off are we? We are off by 4,000 or 4 million kilometers. That's no good. Can we change when we burn and get better that way? Ooh, that looks pretty good. That is a separation of only 50,000 kilometers. Oh, and there's an encounter. Fantastic. So, let's see, that's got a Duna periapsis of 23 million. Oh. Alright, let's aim for that, and then we'll see if we can't tweak it a little bit further along the way. But I'm pretty happy with that trajectory. Now, what does that look like down here? That looks like that, which I'm fine with. Alright, and our node is in about 9 minutes, and we should be burning for about 1.5 minutes, which I think we can do on our current stage. And if not, the stage that is above it, I'm pretty sure is running with the same engine. So we should be able to use that same timing anyway. Let's see, this is the LV-245. Oh, this is the LV-T30. I'm still going to go with the minute 30 estimation, because I'm pretty sure this bottom stage, I mean, this tank here is completely full. So I'm pretty sure that will be just fine. So I'm just going to turn the RCS on and line up preemptively here with our mark. And then when it's time for the burn, I will bring you back in. Alright, I'm going to start our burn here in about 30 seconds because this is 97, almost 100 seconds, so I figure 50 seconds ahead of time should be a pretty good way to split the difference in terms of the burn time. So I'm going to just get lined up with it right there. And we'll fast forward a little bit just to catch up to that 50-second mark. And then once I start burning, I'm actually going to cancel the maneuver and we'll just watch this screen right here. And burn. Here we go. And actually we can check that box and monitor our fuel usage for the current stage. Now, this is going to go out pretty slowly at first, but that gets ever more exciting and sped up as we move on here. So I'm hoping we'll be okay with this stage. We might be a little bit off, but I think we'll be able to correct for it if that ends up being the case. Oh, it's going to be real close. I think we're going to have to stage, though. Oh, okay, we have an approach. Now let's see what happens if I accelerate. Okay, that approach goes up. So we actually need to slow down. I'm going to try retro-firing my RCS. Oh, that's having a pretty significant effect, actually. So let's go about there. There we go. Now, how low can we get the Duna periapsis? It's about there, it looks like. Just playing around with the RCS thrusters a little bit. So, we're going to have our Duna encounter in 81 days, 20 hours, 57 minutes. And the periapsis is going to be at 21,000 kilometers from Duna's surface. Not too shabby, all in all. So let's flip those off. We don't need them anymore. Our course is set. Looking pretty good there. Oh, wow, that looks really cool. With the light shining on it. Wow, check that out. It's hitting all the little connection points for the struts and the decouplers. That's pretty neat. Alright, turn those lights off, save charge. Although we've got the solar panel, so I'm not concerned. Here on this side of Kerbal, it's an issue, but we'll soon be escaping Kerbal. Kerbal, I should say. So, we're going to fast forward out towards the Kerbal escape. And then, an important thing to remember when using the time warp function is that you want to actually reduce your time warp to 1 whenever you're about to hit your encounter, because the time table, or the calculations, get wonky if you are warping faster than 1, because it's not doing the proper physics right now during the time warp. And so the numbers end up being off when it recalculates. Because it recalculates everything once we hit this point. And here we go. Recalculating, and there we are. There's our actual trajectory. sun periapsis of 13 billion meters, 13 million kilometers. Sending node looks good. We might try adjusting that a little bit when we get out there, see if we can't get a better encounter. And 21,000 kilometers is our periapsis, which is what we had originally calculated. So very happy with that. Let's go right in here and make sure we've got... Okay, direct sunlight, very good. Let's go ahead and trigger one of these guys. Observe the mystery goo. High in space in space high over the sun. Feeling right at home here. So it'll be worth 33 science when we transmit. I'm just gonna keep the data for now. And should we get a temperature reading? Sure. I think that's reasonable. We have 2 thermometers. Oh, we can't do a temperature scan right now. Interesting. I don't know why. Will this one work? No. Okay. Well, we'll try it again later. I'm gonna save Mr. Science for somewhere in the Duna neighborhood. And then obviously these other pods here will be for other interesting situations along the way. Okay, so we actually had a bit of an encounter while I was time warping. I was apparently close enough to Kerbal still that we got caught back in its sphere of influence, I think. It was a real quick blip, so I'm not exactly sure what the problem was. So I am planning a new maneuver, because right now, as it stands, we get close, but we don't actually get into an encounter. The encounter here is actually going to be a bit closer to Duna's surface, which I am happy about. In fact, we're going to try to get... Ooh. That's interesting. What the world was going on there? I guess that's an adjustment in our orbit due to our closeness to Duna. Oh, okay. Yep. We want to probably get it pretty close to that point. I'm thinking like maybe here-ish. Let's try that. That is... less than 500 kilometers away from Duna's surface. I'm pretty happy with that. So we're going to aim for that as our maneuver. And that is in 45 days. And will be a very, very short burn. Okay, well, I'm accidentally half an hour past our encounter. Which I don't think is going to be too big of a deal. We're going to do the encounter anyway. Or do the work anyway. Oop. I think I wanted north. So we're going to give this a shot and see what kind of impact we have on our situation without the use of an actual encounter over here. So let's start with a little bit of RCS, I think, just to get an idea of it. Oh, well, all right. Okay, that's going up. So I'm pointing the wrong direction. Okay. I need to point south. Not a problem. It's going to be a very, very slow burn that I'm going to do, because it's going to be very easy to mess this up if I don't concentrate on it. So, come on, 180. Let's get right on there. Yep. That will do. And RCS off. Don't need to be wasting that. And let's just do a small burn and get the finger ready on the X button. We're almost out of gas in this stage anyway. Oh, separation's going back up now. Okay. And we're also got a decent amount of rotation going on from that. Let's just get to our prograde mark now and see if we can't catch up, because I think our nodes are going to be as close as we're going to be able to get them anyway. Let's get right on here. And we'll bleed off the rest of this. Oh, the separation got worse again. Do we actually want to go the other direction? We want to slow down. Okay. I can get behind that. Okay, Duna encounter in 3, 2, 1. Frame of reference shift, and we now have an encounter with Duna, which is fantastic. We got a periapsis here of 968. Now I'm curious, if we were to just start slowing down at this point, what would happen? Ooh, that would happen, which is pretty awesome. That would get us an Ike encounter. Let's see, how close to Ike can we get, and how... Oh, okay, that's doing the opposite of what I want. What I'm doing is I'm watching this here. I would kind of like to use Ike a little bit to help slow us down, if I can. So I'm just watching that line and trying to get it to diverge as much from ours as possible. And I think that's probably about the best we're going to get, is right around there. So that's an Ike encounter with an Ike periapsis of 305 kilometers. So we're going to do this maneuver, which I think we can just essentially burn retrograde until we see something like this anyway, because this is about as straight a line as you can get on the graph. So we're going to aim over here and just do the maneuver now, as opposed to waiting the 2.5 hours that we actually planned it for. And we're just going to watch the actual numbers here. Come on, get back on that line. There you go. Not quite getting the right mark here. Okay, there we go. Aiming for about 300. Okay, let's go for that. Actually, let's see. Can we get any lower? So I think the lower we get, the more of a gravity assist we get for slowing down. Okay, Ike periapsis started going up a little bit again. So that's going to be our optimum approach in towards Duna. And we can get ourselves a little Ike action as well, which will help with the science tremendously. Fantastic.